Hey guys, my name is Cynthia Veronica, and in this video I want to talk to you about 5 different ways that you can help your children advocate for themselves. So I have 2 children. I have a daughter named Samantha, and she's 3 years old. My son is Sebastian, he's 5 years old, and Sebastian just happens to have achondroplasia, which is the most common form of dwarfism. So when it comes to ensuring that my children, my son especially, have all the appropriate accommodations in place at school and in other settings, I am the one who advocates for them. I sit through IEP meetings, I set my son up with speech therapists, occupational therapists, I research doctors and specialists that can help him with his medical needs, I get advice from experts on how to help my children thrive. I have had specialists inspect my son's school and home environment. I listen to their recommendations and ensure that what they recommend is implemented at home and in the school especially. Eventually, my children will have to advocate for themselves. My son especially will have to learn about what tools and resources are available to him. He will need to understand what his needs are and how he can ask for accommodations. And he'll also need to ensure that there is support and compliance when necessary. So even though my children are very young, I still want them to gain a little bit of an understanding on what it means to advocate for themselves now, so that they can start to develop the skills to speak out and stand up for themselves and get what they need. So because they are so young right now, a lot of these tips are very basic. Tip number 1 is give your child a grocery list. So when you go to the grocery store, give them a list of items that you want them to put in the shopping cart and have them collect those items and place them in the cart. One thing that I like about one of our local grocery stores is that they have kid-sized shopping carts, so it's kind of nice because it gives them a sense of independence. Also, kids by nature want to help out and contribute to the family. So giving them that responsibility helps to build that confidence and knowing that they are adding value to the family unit. So follow your child around on errands. If they need help finding something, let them know that they can ask someone who works in the grocery store. They can learn to identify who the right person is to ask for help. Let's go to the counter and ask where we can find the item that you're looking for. And if they need help reaching for something, you can help them or show them that they can bring a stool with them, or you can teach them to ask someone, although, with COVID, things are a little, weird right now. But giving them a job to do helps them to build the skills to learn how to do things for themselves. They start to recognize that they are capable of doing things on their own, and they start to develop the confidence to ask when they need help. And honestly, that's something that I really could have used when I was growing up. Confidence in being able to approach an adult, a grown-up, and say, hey, I need help with XYZ. Can you help me out? Or can you show me where I can find this? Because I didn't really develop that at a young age, and I think it made me feel kind of self-conscious whenever I was talking to others, especially adults. Tip number 2 is modeling the language for advocating for yourself. So when I first started working at one of my first jobs, my computer placement was just not ideal for me. And I actually started to develop carpal tunnel. It was so uncomfortable, and for months I never said anything because I didn't want to make a fuss, I didn't want to complain. And then I heard a coworker mention that there's a contractor who specialized in ergonomics that we had access to. So I scheduled an appointment with her, and she was so incredibly helpful and helped to provide me with a better workspace that was more comfortable and ergonomically correct. And I ended up thinking, why didn't I do this sooner? So for slightly older kids, talk to them about a time when you were uncomfortable with speaking up about your needs. Explain how easy it was to ask if you could get support, and how so much better you felt once you received an accommodation that better supported you in your work environment or your learning environment. So give them an example from your own experience. Ask where asking for an accommodation worked to provide you with a better environment. Tip number 3 is slow down and connect. So much of our day is filled with busy tasks. We're working, and then we're shuffling our kids around to music class, to sports events, to therapies. And sometimes we just are shuffling them from one place to another and checking things off of our to-do list. So try slowing down and listening and talking to your child. One way to do this is to check in with your child when you're driving in the car. Turn off the radio Don't probe too hard or talk too much, and start listening. And you would be surprised at how much information you can get out of just listening to them talking to you. You can also set up a specific time when they have your full attention. So don't be on your phone scrolling through emails. It's hard enough to get children to talk to us, especially adolescents. But if they think that they don't have our full attention, it's going to be even harder. So another way is to play a simple board game, and it's just kind of a nice way to engage in conversation with your child without necessarily having constant eye contact. So it's a little bit more casual. Also, when they tell you about a problem or issue that they're having, don't try to solve their problem right away. Ask them how they think they should handle it, and don't discount their ideas. And if they can't come up with a solution on their own, tell them, I have some ideas, would you be open to hearing some of them? And don't give them more than 3 ideas at once, and ask them what they think. And in doing this, you're teaching them to recognize a problem and start to develop important problem-solving skills. Tip number 4 is to show them supportive behaviors and language. So basically modeling it. My son, for instance, is easily distracted by sights and sounds in his surroundings. So sometimes when I find that he's distracted when I'm talking to him, I'll say, you know what? I can't hear you clearly right now. There are so many distracting noises. Can we go in the hallway where it's quieter so that I can concentrate on what you're saying to me right now? And it's amazing to me how much children will remember and repeat what you say. So giving them the vocabulary gives them ideas on what to say when they need support, like when they're easily distracted and having trouble concentrating. Another thing my son learned at a very young age was the word help. When he was not able to read something or couldn't get access to something he wanted, he would yell out, help. Also, when he first started school, other kids would grab toys from him, or he would get knocked over easily if kids were roughhousing around him, and he'd cry. But we taught him at a very young age to say, stop that. Stop that, I don't like that. And so teach your children to say those words when he or she is in a situation that makes them uncomfortable. Teachers don't always see what is happening in the classroom. So for the teachers in Sebastian's classroom, hearing those words prompted them to turn around and see what was going on. And the teachers would actually give me feedback and tell me and say, it's good that he knows what to say when he's in those situations. So tip number 5 is to involve your child in the process of assessing their environment. So I myself was learning about all of these different accommodations that were available to my child that I didn't even know about. So this process is new, not just for my child, but for me as well. So let them know that the school has resources for helping them and supporting them with learning. Let them know that if they can't reach something, or if they have trouble hearing the teacher or seeing the chalkboard, or if they're afraid of walking through the crowded hallways because they might get trampled, or if something comes up, that they can talk to you or someone else, and we can figure out an accommodation to make it a better environment. And I constantly check in with my son. So even though we did a walkthrough with the OT and identified needs, I asked him, how did you use the bathroom today? Were you able to wash your hands without help? Is there a stool in the sink? Did your legs fall asleep when you were sitting at the table for lunch? Were you able to reach all the doors, or did you need to call for help? So the initial walkthrough with the OT was good, but needs might come up in the middle of the school year. So it's important to check in. And if you identify a need, let them know that there are ways to support him or her, and let them be involved in the process as much as possible. And that really is something that helps to create awareness for them. Oh, there's actually something available for me when I need it, when I need assistance. So yeah, those are my tips. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.